Okay. Yeah, we're live right now. I'm going to retweet it from my personal if you want to retweet it from your page, and we'll get started.
Easy.
Cool. Easy work. Easy work, guys. Welcome to the Wolfwood 3 podcast. Great to have you guys here. Happy Monday. Today, we've got the founder of HypeUnit, Esports, content, gaming, all the things. This guy is the guy to go to for anything of the sort. So we're going to chat with him. We're going to talk about his career, life, gaming, content, pretty much everything. Hopefully, we're going to try and extract a lot of value from this conversation. So, Teddy, dude, it's been a little minute. We've had you in a couple of the gaming spaces, but it's great to have you. Thanks for making some time.
Appreciate it. You take those glasses everywhere you go, don't you?
I do, bro. I do. They look so ridiculous. If I wear them in out in person when I'm not going to a crypto event, I get the weirdest triple stare. Like they're just like, what is this? But in crypto land, it just works.
I can only imagine. Well, this is a safe space. As you can see, I'm sitting at the HypeUnit headquarters, and yeah, let's rock and roll, baby. Thanks for having me.
Dude, absolutely. So you've had quite a wild ride, bouncing around from content to esports. You've helped work with a lot of content creators as well. You're pretty big in the gaming world. I was wondering, just before we kind of kick things off and talk about all the things you've been building, curious if there's anything that comes to mind that would help contextualize the rest of the conversation, something maybe about who you are / something that happened early on in your life that kind of set you on this trajectory. It might just help contextualize the rest of this conversation.
Yeah, I'm someone who, at a really young age, had the proclivity to play video games for copious amounts of hours, but also entertain my friends while playing them. Getting a little feedback from you, Mike. But yeah, I not only played video games, but I made it a thing. What was that thing? It was having the most fun I could on the game, or being as competitive as I could, while also making sure that everyone around me was laughing and having a fun time. And that eventually turned into me stumbling onto YouTube, which at the time was full of cat videos and, you know, funny little things in 480p and 240p. And after a few years of playing video games on the laptop and playing on the Nintendo Wii, which was the console my parents got me, because they were like, we sure as hell ain't forking out like £300, or was it like $450, $500 back then for a PS3. So I was playing on a Nintendo Wii, games like Call of Duty, games like WWE. This was right after the PS2 days, when it was time for me to upgrade and take my gaming addiction to the next level. And I stumbled across a bunch of YouTube content creators, the early days, you know, the Woody's Gamer Tags, the KSIs, the White Boy 7 Streets, Fwiz, Machinima, all these other different names and people that were creating content. Anoj with the top 5 plays of the week and all this other stuff. And I was like, wow, here's something else that I'm about to be absolutely addicted in, until, again, just like with playing the video games, it went to the next level of how can I get involved? How can I take part in this? And how can I, you know, share my experiences in video games just like these people are? Because I feel like every time I hop on Call of Duty at night with the boys, it's like an episode from a sitcom. You know, there's always something crazy, funny going on. But I was nervous and shy to do those things. So the first few videos I made were text tutorials on how to get certain applications, on how to, you know, install certain things. I basically started off, I was scared to speak in the YouTube videos. So I would open up a notepad and make tutorials. Here's how you do this, this, and this. Here's how you do this, this, and this, until I realized like these are getting thousands of views. Until they started hitting the hundreds of thousands, I was just like, this is great and everything, but it's taken me 2 times the time to type this in real time. And then it's, you know, the videos are really long and people love it. So why not just use my voice? That turned into me making information and news videos. So I went from tutorials to information and news in gaming, until finally, when just before GTA came out, I was grinding Call of Duty and had like 15 to 20,000 subscribers. But when GTA came out, I took off. I was doing it all: information, news, glitches, funny moments. And from there, I ran into so many other content creators who are now massive in the kids gaming content scene. Some of them are musicians, some of them are boxing and doing martial arts. and some of them own really successful businesses. And here's me, still a nerd at home playing video games with my friends, living life.
It's quite different. I guess we see, I've interviewed so many people, and it's pretty crazy watching the life paths of how things begin to unfold, how some things, synchronicities happen in somebody's journey, lands them in a certain position. Next thing you know, they're doing X, Y, Z. So that's pretty awesome stuff. So you're big in this, like I said, you're big in the content world, the gaming world, esports world as well. So tell me a little bit about what the vision is with HypeUnit. I know you guys had the Hype House in Nashville, I think it was. So it looks like you're bringing together a bunch of gamers, some content creators, trying to spin up some stuff in the crypto world. Do you see a difference? Like, is HypeUnit residing within the Web3 world, or is it just the broader gaming world? Talk to me a little bit about HypeUnit.
Yeah, we spinning it up, baby. We actually did two. We just did one at DreamHack Atlanta. And just to quickly clarify something, I'm actually not the founder of Hype, but in Web3 terms, founder makes sense. I'm the co-owner of Hype. HypeUnit was founded in like 2015. Before I even joined or knew about Hype, they had already won multiple esports world championships, Smite on console, Paladins, those sort of games, and had already run multiple creator houses and campaigns with big brands like G Fuel and Papa John's and so on. And that was all the homie Trip and his friends. Back in the day, I was part of another team called Team Caliber, and we had our own YouTuber house. There was 2 G Fuel houses. One of them was FaZe Clan G Fuel, and then the other one was the TK G Fuel house. So naturally, we were doing the gaming lifestyle thing. And recently, I acquired HypeUnit, and me and my boy Trip have been sort of just hitting it off really well, on not only a personal level of the things that we want to achieve within the broader gaming space, but looking at Web3 as a catalyst for exploration and also to be able to work the way we want to, right? There's things in trad gaming, in normal marketing, in normal social media that are absolutely fantastic, but those things took 10 years to 15 years to be put into place to be able to get. Just an example of that is it took me 4 years before I became a massive YouTuber with 1 million subscribers and got, sent out to America to live in a YouTuber house. In Web3, it took me 4 months. Now, granted, I came with close to 10 years of experience, but still, we found Web3 as an amazing opportunity to not only find people that work very similar to the way we work, which is a lot of remote work. The culture is very similar to how we've always been, at least within the gaming subculture of exploration, excited about technology, excited about decentralized finance, excited about asset ownership, and all these other things were just lining up. I'm someone that spent thousands on microtransactions in games, and the only reason why I could justify that was at the time I was making content and was a content creator who was able to, let's say, claim that as like, what's it called, tax returns, right? But anyone watching my videos who's then like, oh my God, I just watched this guy open $1,000 worth of microtransactions for the past 2 hours on his stream, and he's opening up CSGO cases, and he's doing FIFA packs, and he's doing these Call of Duty crates. It's like, normal people watching can't do that. It's just out of the question. But what they can do is enjoy vicariously through me these adventures within gaming, and then hop on the game themselves and, have their own sort of version or reflection of exactly what me and my friends have been up to. So just to quickly answer your question and loop back, for HypeUnit, it's very much gaming within the realm of content creation, wherever that may be. So we've done over 450 media pieces of Web3 content alone in the past 4 months. Web2 content, we've done over 600. I thought there would have been, one of them would have been top heavy, but really the content creators that we're working with, the content creators that we're incubating, the micro influencers, the Twitch streamers, the TikTok people that we're working with, TikTok logo right there. I'll get into, my AI webcam is bugging.
Oh boy.
I'll try and zoom that out.
What has he done?
I don't know what I've done. I'm zooming it in
more.
My
God.
No.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. Oh, hold on. Here we go. This is a Chad moment right here. Look at that. That was cool.
All right, I'm gonna keep my hands in my pockets or something. Yo, shout out to Animoca Brands, by the way. Got the little Friends
Hey.
tea from Singapore.
Oh, love
But
it. Yeah,
no,
big shout out to Animoca.
we are front runners and we're spearheading content creation, gaming content creation, gaming lifestyle culture within Web3. And thus far, we've gotten stellar feedback from publishers, partners, chains, and the other content creators. Everyone's been so loving. Everyone's been super curious as to us, our backgrounds, and the things we've been doing. And we've also been able to make so many different collaborations with people that have already been in Web 2. Again, just for some context, I've been in Web 2 since 2020, Web 3, sorry. People have been in Web 3. I've been in Web 3 since 2021. But when I saw it was only Big Time and Axie, I was like, I can't play and create every single day. I need, the platform was slowly being created. Yes, I could still do Twitter Spaces, and I was still on Clubhouse 7 to 8 hours a day, yapping, talking about crypto, talking about NFTs, talking about the next mint, talking about politics, talking about all these different things, debates going on, drama going on, all sorts of beefs from the Clubhouse and early Twitter Spaces days. But there wasn't, at least in gaming, a feasible option for people to create careers. And if there was, it was very obvious that this was just a short bubble, and there was going to be new things that would still needed to be developed, so that content creators could say, okay, I'm going to go full time in Web3 gaming. And we're finally at the stage now where things are ramping up, and not only has the technology moved forward, but the go-to-market strategies have gone forward. The publishers are starting to learn from, again, it took Web3 2 years to figure out some of these things. It took Web2 10 years, 15 years. And yeah, we're excited to be part of it, working with the best games, working with the best publishers, and working with the best creators.
Dude, that was awesome hearing just a little bit about your story in the beginning and the introductions, how these things happen. For anyone who's watching right now, if you're on X, please repost the stream. I'm always yelling repost the space, but now repost the stream because we're on video streams here. And definitely give Teddy a follow. He should be tagged in the title. So if you're looking for him, just look straight up and you should be able to give him a follow and check out what he's building, as well as the HypeUnit, which is in his bio. So I wanted to hit you with this question. We kind of just talked about how you got into the game and then a few different challenges you were with. But are there any particular challenges or pivotal moments that shaped entirely like big next trends of, like I feel like for me, every year and a half is like a new venture of sorts within the same industry, but a new path like opens up and I start walking down this way for about a year and a half. Then I see another path that kind of goes this way for a little bit. So talk to me about any pivotal moments that come to mind.
Yeah, I've lived in 3 different countries in the past 5 years. So there's been paths. And I've worked in Web 2, Web 3, and in the AI sector within these past 5 years. And I've collaborated with everyone from trad gaming to marketing, to media groups and companies, to people that are massive companies that are in AI now, that were in AI early. And also just at the same time, somehow been able to keep up with all my YouTube and streaming homies at the exact same time. It's like the creator, what we call the Web3 creator cabal. These things are, ancient old things that have been around since the start of time. I still have my OG YouTube friends, which is like a web or a network of other friends, and everyone still games together. Everyone still hangs out together. Everyone still meets up every now and then or ends up bumping into one another, whether it's at a gaming convention, whether it's at a tech convention, whether it's at a summit, whether it's at whatever, a festival. Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. And one of the things I learned along the way was, as a guy, as a man, it doesn't matter if you're sitting behind a desk. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your mom's basement. It doesn't matter if you have to, sit in a car all day. At some point, you got to work. You got to realize what you're working for. You got to get some clear goals in mind. Then you should have no shame in what you need to do in order to provide for, firstly, yourself, to make sure you're healthy and you can sustain, and then those around you. I did have these thoughts in my mind when I sort of wasn't doing YouTube as much, but was working in esports more as like a personality, of what if I can never get back into YouTube, the platform, am I still going to be able to speak to these people? Are these still going to be my peers, and so on and so forth? And I realized at one point, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. My personality isn't just my profile on the internet. The people that I resonated with, the people that I've created pieces of content with, the people that I've lived with in different gaming houses, people I've done campaigns with some of the biggest companies in the world. You carry that connection and that memory. And if there was sort of a genuine camaraderie, then you can link up and find yourselves picking up from your conversations where you last left off, and that could be in relation to work, life, whatever it is. And just realizing, like, even if I have to go back to school, which I finished school, but even if I one day have to like do a master's, because that's the next stage, or one day if I have to be behind a desk at an office, it's like, who am I to complain, and who am I to, ask for something more when everything I already want has been given to me, and I'm still getting more and more. And my only job here is to be grateful, to enjoy it, and to try and help other people, find their purpose as well.
Yeah, I love that. And something you said in the beginning there, at some point you got to work. I think I hit that realization. It was at some point during the bear market, I finally came to terms with the fact that I think for a couple of years there, I had made it in as far as being able to work online and have relative time freedom. I wasn't rich at all, but I had just enough to not have to go work another job. And I think at some point it was just so miserable, just being so broke. And I was like, dude, I wouldn't even mind having any job right now. Like, it would be just nice to have a little bit more cash flow. And that definitely changed my perspective, because as soon as I became open mentally to be, you know what, let me contribute to society a little bit, because maybe that's important as a human. Doors just opened up. I think I started thinking a little bit differently. And you're right. Like, now I'm in the gig with Wolf. I've worked I thought I had capped out on the amount of work I could do in a day working by myself, but now working part of a team, we're all going towards the same direction, working twice as hard now. And it is a lot of work. So I'm curious on your end, what a day in the life of Teddy looks like. Wakes up at, are you a 4 a.m.er, or are you like a 10 a.m.er? Like, some people go hard on the morning routine. Some people just say, dude, I roll out of bed, grab a coffee, and I head to work.
Yeah, definitely not like one of those who's going to carry the boats, David Goggins type people.
And the logs and the
logs,
boats.
right. I've had my moments of trying out different routines, but for me, it's a lot of it is just waking up when I need to, according to what sort of work and who I'm collaborating with, right? So a lot of the times, I pray and go to sleep, and I wake up and pray, and there's different prayers that happen throughout the day. And if you've met me in real life, you might have noticed sometimes I'll sketch out and disappear for like 5-10 minutes. We have a bunch of prayers as Muslims that we need to do. If you guys have ever been to, I don't know, Asia, Africa, Middle East, then you notice there's like a call to prayer that happens, and that's sort of within our schedule. So whether I'm traveling or whether I'm at home, we fulfill that, and anything and everything that I need to do happens in between that. So it's not really a set regimen. I've had crazy schedules where I'm working like 14 hours a day, and then I've also had certain times where I'm only working like 6-7 hours, and so on. It just depends on the season and what exactly is going on and what I'm trying to achieve,
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was the guy that would upload 3 YouTube videos a day and then go stream, while all my cohorts would upload 1 video a day and then be like, how is this guy growing so quick? I was the guy that would be posting on Twitter all day, talking about video games, talking about movies, talking about MMA, right? And I would be in all these little communities and all these little topics, and my tweets are going viral. At the same time, I'm still uploading my YouTube videos, and I'm still streaming, and I'm still putting a whole, day in a life on Snapchat at the same time, and everyone's like, he's just doing this. He's just consistently doing this. And then, you find your passion throughout doing these things, and you find the things that you're best at, and you double down on those. But exploring all those different things as a creator, especially being on social media early on, made it so that I do have an overt, or you could say even like a outwards perspective on how stuff works. So if you told me to edit a video and you wanted a really good edit, I would take a few hours and I could do it, right? Or let's say I get someone to edit a video and I look at the video, I can tell how much time they've spent on it. Graphics design, I can work with graphics designers, and I love working, and I've worked with multiple graphics designers, especially in the YouTube scene. Some of these people work with the biggest YouTubers. Some of these people now work movies and do VFX and also posters and other things like that, which is super crazy to think. I can jump into a YouTube video if it's IRL, right? If it's sports related, if it's gaming related, all these different things. I can go in and do interviews. I can present. I can do all these different things, and that was just through years of taking opportunities while they came and asking myself, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And will that someone else who's doing it open doors for other people to do it? Because there wasn't really many people from my background, from my culture, you could say, that really blew up on YouTube. I think the only other like brown boy that blew up back in the day might have been like FouseyTube or something. Like guys like OG, and maybe Vicstar123 in gaming. Now there's way more, right? Now you go on Twitch and there's way more Middle Easterners, way more Asians and Indians and stuff. But back when I started, it was like there was no one around. So I had to learn how to edit. I had to learn how to speak to my chat and entertain people for 4 to 5 hours on end. And back when we started, we didn't have, I didn't have the triple monitor that I do right now. I didn't have the 4K AI webcam. I didn't have all the lighting and everything. So when you start bare bones and you learn all these different things through tutorials, through flight hours, at some point you're like, okay, I have a proficiency to be able to almost be a team of my own. The biggest challenge is realizing when you need to let go and pick up other people to help you along the journey, especially as a creator. The cool thing is, I had a few YouTube friends that I worked with for years, and some of them grew 10x my size as I was working in esports. And eventually I started picking up and working with them again. So I'm there with like 1 million subscribers, while one of my friends is like 10 million. And he's like, bro, you might make some good bread from doing this, this, and this, but look at the shit that I'm on. Come jump on my team and help me, get to 20 mil or 15 mil or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's like my social media isn't going to last forever. None of our pages are going to last forever, but do you dare to be a part of something great? And as you said, sometimes it lasts a year or 2, 3 or 4, and then you move on to the next, but we move,
I hear you there, bro. I hear you there. Curious on, you mentioned the various directions your career has taken. What are some things you picked up along the way from a content angle? There's a whole lot of platforms have been added since the old days. I remember I'm also a YouTuber, not as full-time anymore. It's definitely spending a lot more time on X now. But on YouTube, I've been posting since like 2009. I got started with soccer videos, fitness videos, vlogs, tutorials, eventually podcasts, eventually travel, eventually crypto. But I've been through all those waves. I remember like filming on like the crappiest little camera in the back and editing on iMovie. So I feel you heavy on that stuff. I feel like there are little nuances we pick up along the way when we're building like that. I just remember watching and almost studying these YouTubers who are able to bounce from industry to industry, stay like relevant online. Because it seemed to me similar with how a high school ran. Popular kids getting attention, and it was very interesting watching that. I was a very introspective, unpopular kid up until maybe like junior year of high school, so I was always in my head thinking about these things. But I learned a lot of things, and I feel like it helps me eventually with content and kind of seeing the game almost like a board game in a way. You're making choices and decisions, and you make a risk here, you pivot here, and the game continues to unfold. But what are some things you picked up?
Wow, that's a really really solid question. Things I've picked up along the way, as I just left off my last point, knowing when to scale, knowing when to look for people to teach, mentor, delineate, knowing when to trust other people and teach other people. Another thing was learning how to teach. I ended up getting a bachelor's in teaching, so that was really cool. I just so coincidentally, while I was doing my thesis, which was related to YouTube and social media, somehow in a teaching degree, sort of pedagogy and education and e-learning and online, and even breaking down YouTube lectures and other things, and looking at how online learning is going to be the future of learning. I got hit up by a friend of mine who was like, "Hey, I want you to come teach a bunch of these people, these juniors and these interns, how to be the next YouTube stars and run these YouTube channels for me while I'm starting up this tech company." And so all of a sudden I go from almost teaching in a classroom to then teaching in like one of the fanciest, coolest offices in Amsterdam. And I'm like, damn,
Wow.
I didn't know how effective I was at teaching until I taught people. And then I realized I'm teaching myself and I'm learning these things better because, again, until you teach someone something, you don't know how well you know it yourself. So with social media and understanding and knowledge, that's one of the things I learned. Like, teaching people is the reward in itself, but you also gain a fascination and understanding of these things, and you want to read and you want to research and you want to be the most effective when you endow things upon people, because especially if you want them to be just as effective or just as inquisitive as yourself, you have to, you got to bring your A game. You can't just be like, hey, we're doing X, Y, and Z and so on and so forth. But I was in a really interesting spot and it was super exciting. It was almost like one of the coolest offices in the world, where we've got Nerf guns and pool tables and all sorts of toys and Legos and games consoles and 360 windows and balconies everywhere, and, 4 different floors and next door to Red Bull and all this other stuff. So teaching, learning how to teach in itself helped me quite a lot. Another one was making more friends with people that are in the industry. I've given this anecdote before of, let's just say Cade wanted to make soccer videos, right? Let's say you continued making soccer videos, you would have ran into me, because those are some of the first ever YouTube videos I uploaded. 2010 World Cup, I was the plug on YouTube. The plug on YouTube. Oh yeah, they took me down, they took me down right after or right before the quarterfinals.
Okay.
Because I was always the first guy to upload the highlights of every match, and I would get hundreds of thousands of views, and every single one of my channels would get eligibility for monetization within like 5 or 6 days, and it was insane. And I was like, I'm about to hit money, I'm about to hit money, I'm about to hit money. I never did get monetization because the channels would just get struck down. Anyway, FIFA, don't come after me for that. I was a little kid, 2010. I don't even know how old I was, but it's a very long time ago. Let's just say we continue on this path. Here's one thing I learned. If you have a passion and you have a drive, especially let's say in regards to content creation, if you go along this journey with your best foot forward, eventually you're going to look to your left. That's my left. Eventually you're going to look to your left and you're going to look to your right and you're like, oh, hey, Cade, you also been uploading 2 or 3 videos a day. You also been studying other channels. You also been making content, thinking football and, news and soccer. Sorry. You also been thinking soccer, and you also been thinking about Messi memes and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, wow. Oh, and you've also been running a Facebook page at the same time. Oh, that's how you've been running it. Oh, you learned this. Eventually, as you go down this path of exploration, especially as a creator, you'll run into people. Sometimes, you'll see the good, the bad, the ugly, but eventually you'll run into people that you're like, I can speak to this person almost every single day, because that's the power of the internet. They love exactly what I'm doing, and I can create a friendly competition. Then you realize, hold on, this person has 20,000 subscribers and they love this person. I have like 20, 30, 15,000 subscribers and they love me. What would happen if we made a collaboration? right? What would
Mm,
happen if there's some cross pollination? And I've seen that happen over a million times. I've facilitated it several times with different YouTube teams, and I've had other people make intros to me with other creatives that now we have this level of camaraderie of, oh, he's the guy that you go to when you want to talk about this. And I
mhm.
know eventually he's going to come up to me and might have questions about this or forward someone to me regarding what I'm good at and so on and so forth. So going down your path and having faith that eventually you'll run into your crowd is definitely something I'm assertive of, or I'm, something that I talk about when I help incubate a lot of creators and do creator workshops and or even speak on Twitter Spaces about, because it's happened several times. And this is an example, right? I
Mm,
don't know how long you've been doing Twitter Spaces or how long you've been in Web3, but eventually our paths were meant to cross, and they have now. And all of the work that we've put in gives us a certain expertise on the things that we're curating. And at some point, just as you mentioned before we started this stream or podcast, we've had a conversation before and we've chopped it up. And it's up to us to decide, is there ways that we could collaborate or help one another? Um, and this is one of them. You're giving me the opportunity to tell my story, to maybe inspire someone, to let people know about HypeUnit, and in return you get media.
media. Sound bites coming soon as well.
Hell
You
yeah.
said something that sparked my memory, talking about the old days with YouTubers. It was like my first YouTube. It wasn't a YouTube beef, but for some reason we both just started like, I don't know, ragging on each other's videos. We made the same videos. We were like 13 or something, making free kick videos in the backyard. We were following. There was a few different free kick channels, and I was trying to emulate them. For some reason, we just didn't like each other. And then after like 2 weeks, I just got tired of it. I was like, dude, this is kind of exhausting. I don't even know who this kid is, and he's like from Canada. I ended up messaging him. I was like, just like to repair the damage, and he was like, dude, same. So then we became best friends, and we're like 13 years old, like commenting on every single video. We did a couple collabs. I didn't meet him, but he would just send me a couple of his clips. I would send a couple of his. We started interacting that way. And I remember that was like my first YouTube connection, was just some random person who was also in my like industry in quotes. And so it's pretty fascinating hearing about those stories, because that's OG before I even knew you could make money. I had no idea. I was just posting things because I wasn't getting much attention in the real world, I think, just at my school. So I figured, hey, this is a way I can kind of like hack the algorithm a little bit. I have something to do when I'm alone. I can go make a video. I don't have to worry about anybody else showing up. And so I used that to my advantage when I was just kind of like lonelier growing up. I think it was just like my outlet. I really loved YouTube because it felt like the creator was making the video for someone in particular, versus TV is just kind of out there to whoever's watching. I just really enjoyed the YouTube touch to it. Is that one of the reasons you're stuck into the content world, because of that edge that it brings? You get to meet some of these people in real life. You find out, hey, this is a real human being. They got a son or a daughter or like whatever it is, and they got a whole entire life going on. But how much of the content world do you relish? Do you take that in at all? It's just, I don't even know if I said anything of value, but I feel like you may have something to say, just because we've been in the game for so long.
Yep. Yeah, creating friendships and connections along the way is something that has motivated me to actually come back. I've taken years off social media while I was in school, while I was in university, and nothing in it really surprised me, or nothing in it really impressed me, because I had reached a level of sort of success that nobody in my background, in my history, in my culture, in my city had reached.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stepped back and I realized I did this, but I did it in a niche. I did it in gaming. I did it in like the gaming culture. And as I came back, I was like, these kids have it easier now. There's all these setups. There's editors, there's thumbnail designers, there's stream managers, there's people that clip your content and post it for you. And there's 10 times more agencies and 100 times more advertisers and way more opportunities across all these different verticals. And so when I came back, I was like, let's give it another spin and see how it goes. In the meantime, I was helping create the YouTubers and the stars, and even some cash cow channels on YouTube.
All right.
And yeah, that was always fun as well. But when I got back as an influencer, as a creator, I just had to do a little reboot and make sure I worked at my own pace. But it's just like riding a bike, to be honest. You get back on and you look at what you did in the past and you're like, wow, I thought this was the shit. My content was going viral. It was so amazing. And you look back now and you're like, man, I wouldn't even upload that on a bad day. That wouldn't even be filler content for me. I'm thinking bigger. I'm thinking grander. And, now I have the maturity to be able to execute things on a different level to where I know I need to put certain people in places to take care of things while I, do the things that I'm best at. So, yeah, now I look at things and I'm like, the landscape has evolved and it's, 10, 50, 100x. It's grown so much. That only means that I'll have more people that are like me, that have the same passion as me, that have the same drive as me, but are on different levels of the journey. At the start of the stream, at the start of this podcast, you mentioned, yo, I'm working with Wolf. I'm having a great time. I'm working remote. At one point I needed a bit more cash and I wanted to work remote and all these different things. And then you finally land a good gig that suits you, right? At any point in your stage, Cade could have turned around and looked at someone that wants to be in the position that you were in, right? Whatever you're doing at Wolf right now, I'm sure there's 100,000 people that would love a nice remote job, from home, but they're not able to have access to that, or they want it, or because of their location or their background or their culture or their class, all these different things, they're not able to earn it. And then those people also have so many hundreds of thousands or even millions of people that want to be in their position. And you realize everyone's along the same journey, but we're all in these different positions. If we can find ways to connect and collaborate on a human level, that helps elevate and increases the speed by which we're able to reach our personal goals, financial goals, our professional goals. That's one of the things that really brought me back into the game, where I spoke to some really, really big, you call them YouTube celebrities, streamers, people that blew up on Vine and TikTok and Twitch and all this. And they're like, why the hell aren't you making content? Everyone, all the big guys that I know would always ask me the same thing. Hey, why aren't you posting? Why aren't you uploading? And it wasn't like hometown people asking me, because they're always like, hey, when's the next video? When's the next stream? And I'm like, you're not my audience and you're not my demographics. Why the hell are you asking me? Is it to patronize me? Is it because you thought I was really cool? Is it because you feel bad for not believing in me? But when the big guys had asked me, where's this? Where's that? And especially when I was like, I no longer want to work for massive YouTubers or run teams and so on and so forth. It was more so, how can I activate myself and how can I do the things that people, have told me I'm good at doing and do them for myself. Once I got back into that, it was, full speed ahead at that point. But yeah, it's, again, I can look back right now and there's someone that wants to be in the position that I'm in. And there's all these big YouTubers who are just a moment's notice away from helping me with the things that I need. There's all these big Web3 people, founders, of these projects that are partnered with some of the biggest blockchains, with some of the biggest tech companies in the world, that are one phone call away to help me figure out the things that I need to. And being in that position in itself is a privilege as well. And understanding that makes it so that I don't have to rush towards where I'm going. I'm going to get there and I'm going to meet the people that I need to get there, as long as I'm putting in the work that I need to be putting in. If I'm not filling that up, then I'm probably going to get there slower and feel the NGMI vibes, instead of WAGMI vibes. I always saw WAGMI and I was like, it was kind of cringe. But the community sentiment of growing together, it really does take leaders to help push a community. And once you realize that you've reached a certain level of success, it is good to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to lead other people, because I was going to say it costs nothing. Sometimes it's an absolute headache, but what it does for you is something that is unparamount. Learning how to be patient, learning how to deal with grief, learning how to deal with strife, learning how to deal with all these different things that you look at people and you're like, where do you find the time to do this? We should all be moving forward in the things that we want to achieve, not get caught up by these things. But again, everyone's on their own journey, and respecting and understanding that um, is in itself a massive reward that I would say social media has granted a lot of us. We see people complaining sometimes. We see people in a state of ingratitude sometimes, and we see people that prefer to complain rather than think in solutions. And you're like, that could have been me at any given moment, but I'm blessed not to be that person. And should I, for whatever reason, be, should it be my fate to be surrounded by those people? It's up to me to either fix it and to show them a better way, and or to find more people like myself. And again, going back to Web3 is that spot where people like to figure things out fast. People like to unlock things fast. People like that instant gratification. And the fact that a lot of this stuff happens within these little sub communities and so on and so forth. It's like, you're one text away, you're one DM away from being in your own cabal at any moment in Web3.
You really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was some random group chat I'm in that I think Tristan Tate is in, and it's like 30 random people. Some of them I know, some of them I don't. And then I was just like, is that Tristan Tate? And I was like, okay, it's so random. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The 8 degrees of separation in Web3 feels like it's 2, maybe even 1, a lot of times. Give me some practical advice for, you've worked with a variety of different YouTubers, I imagine also other platforms, TikTokers, Instagrammers as well. So what advice do you have for people who've got a few hours a week? This is actually a topic for an entrepreneurship space we have coming up. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, but people who have limited time, they kind of understand content. They've edited on CapCut a couple times. They sort of have some time. What is the strategy for someone like this? What are some things that can help them out that maybe on a practical level they can take home?
I would say find an underlying goal that you want to achieve within a respectable amount of time and chase that. And storytelling is really important, or being relatable is quite important on social media, and being very genuine, and or creating something that is akin to those things but doesn't have to be genuine, just being relatable, and connecting with people, creating that relationship, finding a certain niche that is not highly saturated, looking at the quality and going just a little step above as you start your journey, and also looking at how you can delineate, as I mentioned before, the pieces of work that take away from your ability to be able to brainstorm and create and be creative, and generate generate the foundation of what it takes for you to be able to, get a lot higher in quality, and also in the amount of content you're allowed to generate. So find ways to maximize your creative flair and your creative output, and maximize innovation within a niche that isn't too saturated, and hit the ground running. And don't be scared to test or A/B test things, and don't be scared to question other people's biases that you might see. Not every YouTube or social media or TikTok or Instagram guru is the same. There's a reason why there's 100, 200, 5,000 people doing the job of I'm going to teach you social media, is because they all have something different to add. They all have their different techniques. They all have their own biases. But if you can explore and learn the things that they've learned through your own organic method, while also being the mastermind of content, then you're going to unlock something which is way more powerful, which is understanding influence and understanding how to move the needle, whether that's in viewership, whether that's in retention, whether that's in sales. A really cool quote that I heard from was Luca Netz, Pudgy Penguins dude. This was 2021 when he took over from Cole?
Yeah, I think maybe it'd been the beginning of 2022 actually.
I think it was a few weeks after we took over Pudgy Penguins. Everyone was like, yo, this e-com scammer's coming in, and just like everyone else from outside of blockchain, he's gonna take people's money and this project's going to the ground. I heard one of his podcasts he was just doing with some random homie of his who was like a wannabe YouTuber. I don't know, he could be a big guy in Pudgy now. But it was just like they had a YouTube channel and he was running like a mini podcast, and the guy asked him a question. It was like, if you have a product and you want to get that out to the market, what do you do, Luca? He was like, I just go to the clever ass kids that be running TikTok and YouTube algorithms, and I let them handle they're the brains behind that. I don't bother. I just go to the right people to get the right thing done. And that's smart. That means he must have at some point tried to make content, or at some point tried to crack algorithms, or at some point tried to sell certain things in many different ways. And he's like, okay, I need to find the best cost-effective way to be able to give this to someone who's also excited about what they're doing and isn't just chasing, here's a client of mine I need to please. No, they're chasing results and they're chasing gratification on different metrics, which is, can I make this shit blow up? Because that's me. That's what I do. When you see people, let's just give it a Web3 analogy. When we're chasing, 10x's, 100x's, when we're chasing the next big meme coin flip, we're not really inherently after the money, right? You see the biggest meme coin traders, what are they doing? They're still trading meme coins. Ansem's still on the club on his phone, I'm saying, like, okay, he might be 10 shots deep on his phone, but he's still on his phone at the end of the day. We're still, gamers are still doing whatever. It's like, it's something that's inside us that needs to be fulfilled. It's the desire, it's the gratification. And so when you find someone that has that passion and that's their calling, right? Why did I get back into content creation? You asked earlier. How did I do it? It's because that was my calling to make content and to entertain people. And when I wasn't doing it online, I was still doing it in an office. I was still doing it with creators that I was mentoring, and they would ask me the same thing. Hey man, why don't you just jump into this recording? Why don't you just do some voice acting today? And I'm like, I don't think so, man. I think I'm going to take a break for a while, but when I want to get back into it, I'm going to get back into it. I don't even know what voice that was. But anyway, yeah, finding the right people to delineate work to, and finding that spark of passion, finding that spunk, finding that excitement in them to deliver content, knowing that they're chasing gratification or some sort of form of gratification in doing so that hasn't got to do necessarily with your underlying goals. Like someone might get excited that they sell X amount of products for you, right? But that kid who's running the TikTok or the TikTok shop is actually just like, wow, I just did this, this, and this, and that got me 15 million views and so on and so forth. And that's what they're good at, right? The other side of it might generate sales. Example, a personal anecdote, and I've said this on Spaces, is I used to play so many games until I realized, oh my God, I'm an asset to this gaming company. I'm getting millions of views, which means that I'm selling so many microtransactions, and the marketing people of the game might have known that, right? And that's might have been why I was put on the way I was put on, flown out the way I was flown out, and given the stages that I was given and the opportunities. But I couldn't care less, right? I couldn't care less because I was chasing views, not sales. I was chasing growth of my own. I had my own metrics. I had my own understanding of success in my head, and that's what I was after. And if I can find ways to, shoot for the stars over there, then let me do my little thing and keep making my little videos, and you can, the microtransactions and blah, blah, blah. I don't know the end sum of what's going on with all of that, but I know Rockstar Games made a killing on GTA Online, and I was one of their biggest YouTubers at the time.
All right.
Call of Duty made a killing on microtransactions, and I was one of the biggest UK COD YouTubers at the time. And it's like, these are just, that's just a plus of being good at what you're doing and being in the right space at the right time, and knowing that it's a give and take. That if someone is working with you, creating that personal relationship is just as important as having mutual benefit, because at the end of the day, everyone has their own prerogative and everyone has their own goals, and being happy to assist someone in those personal or professional goals, knowing that, you can put all the cards on the table, is also pretty gratifying. And doing that without being envious or jealous as well is also very, it's tough on social media. You can make, you can have frenemies everywhere, and you can have enemies everywhere, and you can have friends everywhere. But finding people that you can get along with sometimes is just as hard as finding people that you dislike or can't seem to get along with. But laying the cards on the table and being open about things when you're working on social media makes it so that your conscience is clear and you can stay away from the things that slow down your process and your path to success.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuggets in there. I am curious on your thoughts on the gaming industry currently, the Web3 portion of it, or there's been some bleed over now that a lot of people are excited about. And there's also a lot of gaming content creators who are probably pretty excited. They believe that the next run, the big trend is going to be gaming or AI or a mix of the two. They're trying to get involved. I've gotten a few DMs actually in the last few months about people who are just getting started, really writing some threads, doing some videos. They're just trying to figure out how to make a dent in the industry. I feel like there are some pretty go-to hacks. So you can join a couple of different communities that should be free, just gaming-centric guilds / Discords and whatnot, and you can start to at least build a bit of a foundation of people and then jumping in spaces. I feel like those are two really easy practical tips for someone to just find their people and then go from there. But I'd love to hear from you thoughts on how to get involved, as well as just overall thoughts on the gaming market in general.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, go to twitter.com, x.com/HypeUnit. Follow up. Go follow up Wolf Web3. Retweet this stream.
Yes.
Just the basics. That's ABC. Huge. 1, 2, 3. That's that. You got to learn the jab cross. So if you want to get involved, just look at people to follow. Look at people that inspire you, and look at how you can provide value. So that's the first thing that I did when start of this year, when I'm getting back into content creation, and then I was like, Web3 is the perfect spot. What did I do? I just started messaging everyone. At one point I was very zealous in a way that I was sort of punching a little higher than I was able to achieve at the time. A few months down the line, it's like these people, they're just, they're not the massive stars I thought they were. They're just normal people. And I'm hanging out with them and so on and so forth. And I see people looking at me the same way. They're like, how do I join HypeUnit? Hey, man, I love what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. And you inspire me. I'm like, damn, bro, really? I inspire you? I mean, it's like when I get stuff like that, it's kind of flattering in a way, because it lets me know I'm doing something right. But if you want to get involved,
accent there.
If you want to get involved, find people that inspire you and just watch what they're doing. And this is the best advice. Watch what they're doing, and after a month, 2 months, several months, you realize this person is not as good as they think, as I think they are. This person isn't as good as they say they are. And why is that? Because we're not professional athletes, or we're not, people that are doing all these different things that you have to learn since when you're a kid. Most of us started social media when we were 10, 15, 20. Some people in Web3 started social media last week. Some people in Web3 don't even know what Bitcoin is, but they're in Web3. Like, some people in Web3 couldn't even like go on the block explorer. You know, some people in Web3 are investing in all these different things. They've never even read a white paper. You know, we send our money to these addresses and we expect something back and so on. You've seen the meme. So it's like whoever you like, or you find people that you like in the space, watch them for a while, and after a while you realize they're not as good as they are, and you could probably do it better. What does it take for you to not only work as hard as they're working and go through the same journey that they did with your own challenges through your own time? So maybe it might take them 6 months to a year. It might take you 3 months. It might take you 2 years, but eventually you're going to get to that level, the exact level of where you found them, given the flight hours that you put in. Robert Greene's book on mastery, right? He talks about mastery, he talks about how to achieve it. And it's like, you have to put in these flight hours and eventually you'll get there. And when you get there, those people will either be your peers or colleagues, or they might be irrelevant by the time you get there. Cool thing about Web3 is the market share is expanding, the viewership pool is expanding, and there's a lot of actors from the outside that have already taken a dig at Web3 and have exposed themselves as, you know, not having the intentions that that they said that they had, or that everyone knew that they, you know, didn't have in the first place, and so on and so forth. But there's new people exploring blockchain technologies, new people getting into crypto games, and there's people with wonderful ideas and good intentions and all these different things. And now's a really great time if you're looking to get into crypto games, even if you're looking to get into normal games, to be like, you know, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to start an X account. I want to start streaming on Twitch. It's literally the perfect time to do any of those. Why am I saying that? Because I know people that started a YouTube channel 6 months ago that have 1 million subscribers, literally life changed. 6 months, 1 million subscribers. I know people that start faceless channels, you know, and end up blowing up. Yep. So it's like, this person can do it, who, you know, might have played sports their whole life, or might have been in college, or might have been a teacher, or might have been X, Y, and Z, and all of a sudden they decided to do YouTube. One of the people I know that I was just living with in Atlanta for a week is a lawyer by profession, but he makes Call of Duty trolling videos for the past 10 years. Like, dude, he went through education and higher education, and then went and got his, I think it's a JD when you're like a law, doctorate in lawyer, or a doctorate in law, or whatever, something like that, a JD, I think it is. Plays Call of Duty for a living. You know, it's like, bro picked it up in his late 20s and ran with it and was like, wow, I think I'm gonna have way more fun doing this than I would in a courtroom, you know. And it's like, don't wait till tomorrow. Start today and invest in yourself every bit of the way. If you have to buy an X premium, do it, because 3 or 4 months from now, it could be paying for itself and paying you a bit of money. If you want to work up to, you know, unlocking a certain piece of gear, don't complain that you don't have the facilities to do X, Y, and Z, because I'll find 10 people that are in a way worse position than you, sitting in a shanty town in a slum, still getting busy every single day, still performing. And those might be people worth my time, you know, worth my energy, worth collaborating, worth helping, and so on. So invest in yourself along the way, and trust in the fact that this internet world, this online world, is only ever expanding at this current moment in time, and I think for the foreseeable future.
Hype Teddy, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to say before we wrap, wanted to give you a sec if you wanted to talk about anything that HypeUnit has coming up, anything you wanted to call to action or let people know that's coming up, as well as anyone you want to shout out.
Yeah, I just want to shout out my moms in there, you know, say, Mama, love you. I want to shout out all the HypeUnit creators. I want to shout out the Web3 community. There's so many awesome creators that, as I said, I was watching a few months ago at the start of the year, at the start of 2024. And I was like, it would be nice to collaborate with these people, would be nice to hang out with these people, would be nice to also show these people the things that I know, the things that can help them through my background in history and so on. So shout out to the Web3 community for honestly being amazing. And again, just the growth that I've seen in the past year while being in Web3, not only personal and social media growth, but within the industry alone is absolutely insane. Since I got back into Web3 at the start of 2024, dude, there's 100 more games. There's 10 more agencies. There's I wouldn't say 1,000, maybe close to 1,000 more creators, writers, podcasters, Twitter Spaces hosts, people that are down to clown and have a great time and talk about all the things that we're passionate about, from decentralized finance to gaming and asset ownership and all these, sometimes even politics, sometimes even going down rabbit holes with one another. We have this shared passions, shared to Web3, and one of the biggest things that we're doing is not only working with the best games publishers and chains now, right? There's a few awesome chains that have hit us up about some really cool collaborations that we're going to be executing, but we're also doing gaming content houses. What is that? That's a week, you can call it like an intensive, where the best creators that we handpick are out there creating content on the best games, the best partner games, and also the best games that we choose as well. So we'll be playing Web 2 games, we'll be playing Web 3 games, and making in real life content, mashing it all up, taking the best from the things that we see in the internet and also coming up with our own ideas and being like, we're going to bring this gaming culture / energy to Web3 games, because the games are now at a point where they deserve it. And the teams are now at the point where they're realizing that creators are definitely a massive pillar of the gaming community, and the content that they make stands for more than just user acquisition. It's like a direct reflection of how relatable the game is, or how good the game is, when you see creators making organic content and having a fun time with your product. So yeah, expect more gaming content creator houses from HypeUnit, because we've done them for years in Web 2, and we realized in Web 3 they were very scarce, and a few people had done them and they did really well. But this is our culture, which is gaming and content creation, and we've done it for years, so we've learned how to be proficient at these things, and also how to make it so that we not only take care of the partners, we not only take care of our own content schedules, but we allow for creators to create these bonds that make it so that it transcends beyond just gaming and content. These are people that can collaborate on anything whenever they want, because they're growing their friendship at the same time. And that goes for not only the creators, but the partners, the PR people, the marketing people. We make sure everyone around is good people. And now we're starting to record and show these parts of the culture, and we notice other people in Web3 doing the same thing. They're showing that crypto lifestyle, the genuine lifestyle, the ups and downs, the fun, the banter, and it's a great place to be right now in Web3 content. The evolution is finally here, and you're about to see way more creators popping up within the next few months that you're like, wow, you've been creating this whole time. It's nice that people are about to start going viral. It's already happening, but it's about to happen a lot more. So I'm excited to be here and be part of it.
Dude, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun watching the journey. Well, we're doing some more video podcasts and video streams as well. So we'll have to do a gaming stream and get a few of you guys on, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll do some trivia while we're playing or something like that, or just do some reaction style things. It'd be kind of fun to see what kind of sound bites come out of a stream like that, but B, just kind of what that energy looks like on a stream. So hopefully we'll get you in for one of those.
Sure. I'll just end it with one of my token sayings. I'm about to hit the sheets. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed it, repost the stream, give Teddy a follow the HypeUnit, get involved, jump into the gaming world. We'll see you all later. Have an amazing rest of your day. Peace. And stream is